Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Southeast.
It's a great day for baseball in Atlanta, and SunTrust Park is looking great too. Braves players and coaches got a sneak peek at their new digs earlier today.
Well, it's hard to believe in just 7 short months the Braves will be actually batting and pitching for real here at beautiful SunTrust Park. And as we welcome you upstairs to what will be our broadcast site, I'm Chip Carey with Joe Simpson. Our special tour of SunTrust Park. It's amazing today how much progress has been made since we were here just this past May.
Yeah, late May we come over here and we're having to climb scaffolding to get to places that we want to see. Not anymore. All the ramps are in and the concourses are in. It's coming along nicely, and you can see behind us that they're already working on the playing surface.
But our pal Tom Glavine still has some work to do. A few more seats to install, Tom, so get off your backside and get to work. And when we come back, somehow, some way, through the magic of television, we will make our way to Turner Field for the series wrap-up with the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, in just 2 short minutes, we're going to hop on a helicopter, head to Turner Field, and be right back with you for a great pitching matchup.
Which is Julio Teheran and Jose Fernandez. That's coming up right after this.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well, no trouble with the fun-loving guys at the DOT. Here we are. We've made our way from SunTrust Park to Turner Field in record time tonight.
It's easy if you fly. I mean, with the helicopter, you can go over all that road construction.
I hadn't thought of that. Perhaps I should have. I was a little late to the ballpark today, and if I had been too late, I would have missed an excellent pitching matchup. Let's start with the man on the mound for the Miami Marlins. Their ace is Jose Fernandez. If you're going to face him this is where you want to face him, not on his home mound.
Yeah, on the road, he's almost a normal guy. He's had a great year, great ERA, and he's leading the league in strikeouts per 9 innings. But on the road, very pedestrian type numbers. So, and the Braves really wore him out here earlier this year.
Julio Teheran gets the ball for the Braves. His work is much better than his record would indicate.
Well, as we keep saying, best 5-9 pitcher now in the major leagues, and he continues to pitch well. His last 3 games, he's been outstanding.
Roger McDowell is the Braves pitching coach. Here were his thoughts on Julio Teheran's 2016 season.
This year he went to the All-Star game. You know, the record hasn't indicated how well he's pitched. He had a little bit of injury bug there with, you know, he had a little infection and a little fatigue that he's come out of pretty clean. And so he has been the anchor of the staff, the guy that's gone out there and has the experience, most experience on our staff in the starting rotation. And he keeps getting better. I mean, you know, he's still learning. You know, we call him the ace of the staff. And he's not a very old guy, and so it's a great sign for us that we have that guy and have him under control for a while.
So we'll see what kind of control Julio Teheran has. He squares off with the Marlins. Final time the Braves and Fish play here at Turner Field, a place where Atlanta has been dominant. We'll have lineups. We'll have first pitch on a beautiful night for baseball from Atlanta after a break.
Georgia's best Chevy dealers.
Beautiful night in Atlanta. As we've told you, it's game 3 between the Braves and the Marlins. Atlanta has been dominant against the Fish since this ballpark opened in '97. The Braves are 106-67 head-to-head with Miami, and Atlanta would like nothing better than to win the final Atlanta-based series against the Marlins this evening. Don Mattingly's ball club, 5 games out in the wild card. Same lineup for them with the exception of Derek Dietrich, who gets the start in the outfield. No Ichiro Suzuki, no Giancarlo Stanton, and that might make Julio Teheran breathe a little easier. Those two guys have been swinging hot bats for the Fish, and Julio Teheran, Joe, has suddenly discovered the home magic for the Braves.
Yeah, he has. 25 years old, 6'2", 205. His last 3 starts, outstanding. 4 walks, 18 strikeouts in 19 innings over those 3 starts. A 1.89 ERA. But his 4 keys to pitching success tonight, what we'd like to see happen: 1, 2, 3 innings. In his last 3 starts, 6 innings, 7 innings, he's had no more than 1, 2, 3 innings in any of those 3 starts. So try to improve on that a little bit tonight and get off to a fast start. He got in some trouble his last time out against the Mets, had the bases loaded, was all kinds of trouble in the first inning, pitched out of it, was able to get a no decision. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs allowed.
So there's a look at Dee Gordon, the Marlins leadoff man. He's riding a 10-game hitting streak against the Braves. And look, let's face it, the Marlins, despite being 72 and 73, are still very much alive for a National League wildcard spot. The Giants are having trouble winning. The Mets lost today. The Cardinals got shellacked by the Cubs, and Don Mattingly and Giancarlo Stanton's team starts play only 5 games out in the National League wildcard race. They've got games against the Mets left. They have 5 games left with the Braves. I mean, in some ways, Joe, this is there for the taking for the Marlins if they can get on a win 7 out of 8 streak here in the last 2.5 weeks.
They're a little bit like the Mets. They've got a favorable schedule. It depends on how the Fish play against the Mets head-to-head. San Francisco and the Cardinals play 4 games coming up this weekend, so somebody's got to lose and a chance to gain ground on somebody.
And if the Giants are the team that ends up being in that second wild card spot, remember they've got 6 games left with the Dodgers, who would love nothing better than to knock them out of playoff consideration altogether, not just in the National League West. So Miami has a lot to play for, and last night's win was very important for them in Game 2 of the series. So Julio Teheran ready to go. Dee Gordon digs in for the Fish, and we are at last underway. Warm night, 88 degrees, and not a cloud in the sky downtown Atlanta.
Great day today, great tour. Derek Schiller, Beth Marshall giving all of us not just the nickel tour, we got the 25-cent tour today. We got to see it all over at SunTrust Park.
That's bounced past Perry Hill, the Marlins first base coach. Can't wait to show you the pictures from our tour a little later on during the broadcast.
So much good stuff for the fans as well as the players.
Up and out of play for Dee Gordon. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gordon had a remarkable year last year for the Marlins. Had more hits than anybody else in baseball. Won the batting title in the National League. Tonight he's playing in his 65th game. Suspension is what cost him most of this 2016 season, and he was missed. Full count. Through all the injuries, the suspensions, Don Mattingly has kept his Marlins afloat in the National League. And that one's dumped over third. Kemp's coming on, can't get there. And Dee Gordon with a bloop single to left leads off the top of the first.
Ran it in on him. A little bit of a cutter, and all he did was fight it off.
So you know Gordon's going to think about running. That hit, by the way, gives him an 11-game hitting streak against the Braves. And that'll bring up Derek Dietrich. He's worn out Braves pitching this year. 12 hits, 2 of them homers. Gordon's running. Great jump. The throw is going to be close, but not in time. Dee Gordon head first slide, steals second base.
on the first move by Julio. And a good throw by Tyler Flowers, just not in time. Good pitch to throw on, too.
Gordon with 18 stolen bases now. And Derek Dietrich will dig back in. You might make the case that Dietrich's been the MVP of the Marlins this year. He's played all over the place. He's batted everywhere in their lineup and did such a terrific job filling in for Gordon at second base.
Yeah, it's a good point, Chip. He can hit, no doubt about that. They're trying to find a place for him to play so they can get him in the lineup, and with Gordon back, that meant moving to the outfield some.
Tonight he's playing left and batting second in front of Martin Prado. The pitch is outside, ball 2. Squiver right back to the mound, and that'll help Julio's case. Dietrich rolls out. Gordon's anchored at second, and here's Martin Prado. Wonder how special this game will be for Martin Prado. The final time he will play in Turner Field, of course, a former Brave. Martin enters play tonight with a .309 average. Gordon's going to try to steal third. The throw is high, and Garcia, a nice leaping stab to keep that ball from flying into left field. So D. Gordon steals second, steals third, and he's 90 feet away with the first Marlins run.
I don't know if he was trying to throw over the top of Martin that caused the high throw, or if it just got away from Tyler. Nice play by Adonis, you're right.
D. Gordon hit that bag hard, came up a little gimpy, but he's all right. And that one's taken up the middle and bobbled. No play. Prado has an infield hit. D. Gordon scores the first run, and Miami strikes here in the first.
Prado had good numbers against Tehran, 9 for 25. 10 for 26 now with an RBI.
And his 69th for the season. So the Braves have fallen behind Jose Fernandez 1-0, and Christian Yelich is coming up. Yelich has knocked in 3 runs in the series.
Good breaking balls back to back. Julio has pitched well against the Marlins in his career, 5-3 with a 3.16 ERA. Very good ERA. But his last 5 have not been so good. 0-2 with an ERA over 4, and some real good averages up and down the lineup, particularly from Prado on down.
Bouncing ball to first. Freeman's got it. Second for 1. First is in time for 2. And Tehran got a ground ball right at Freddie Freeman, who starts a 3-6-3 inning-ending double play. D. Gordon had a blue pitch, stole 2 bases, scored on Prado's hit, but a double play off the bat of Yelich ends the first, with the Braves coming up against Jose Fernandez next. Will face Jose Fernandez, who is one of the elite pitchers in the National League, especially though on his home mound.
However, 12.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. That works just about anywhere he pitches. But his road record, you're right, Chip, 3-6, a 4.46 ERA.
And the Braves absolutely tore him up on July 2nd here at Turner Field. He went 5 2/3 innings in that game, 8 hits, 9 runs, 6 of them earned. He threw 100 pitches and struck out 8. The Braves won that game 9-1. This one's hit towards center. Yelich to his left makes the play, and enter into Inciarte, who's atop the Braves order, is out number 1. Pretty much a set lineup for Brian Snitker, a manager's delight. Braves are scoring a ton of runs with Matt Kemp hitting 4th. Markakis 5th, Flowers 6th, Peterson, Swanson, Tehran 7th, 8th, and 9th. Adonis Garcia, the batter. The Braves' third baseman with 13 homers, 55 driven in. Boy, Fernandez really wants to command the mound in the center of the diamond, doesn't he? He's coming off the hill after each pitch like a caged tiger.
Well, the road record would indicate that maybe he's got something he needs to prove.
Ooh, that was a strike. Didn't get the call.
6'3", 245, just turned 24.
Up the middle, Gordon's got it, and quickly 2 are out. Well, you look at his numbers, they are just incredible in this day and age in Major League Baseball. He's thrown 168 innings now with 238 strikeouts.
And out of those 168 innings, only 140 hits.
And this will be a great matchup. The hottest hitter in the league, and Freddie Freeman against Jose Fernandez. Freeman's hit him at a .350 lifetime clip with 2 homers.
I think they both enjoy this challenge. We've seen cases where they've been head to head where all Jose could do is smile and shake his head, nod, tip his cap to him.
Popped him up this time though, and it'll be Yelich with Dietrich backing up, and Fernandez has a very easy inning, 9 pitches, and that's something the Marlins want him to concentrate on. He leads 1-0.
schedules were released today for next season. We've been talking so much about SunTrust Park today. It is just crazy to believe that just next season, the Atlanta Braves will be playing there and calling it home. But you won't be able to see them there until April 14th. That's the home opener versus the Padres. They start the season on April 3rd on an 8-game road swing to New York, Pittsburgh, and Miami. 3 West Coast trips next year, and the Braves will meet up with Houston and Toronto from the AL. But guys, we just saw SunTrust this morning. That just makes all of this so much more exciting.
Yeah, the park looks terrific. I was, quite frankly, amazed at the work the construction crews have done since we were there in May. The seats are going in at a rapid pace. All the lights are up and functioning. They've been aimed properly. The field's been graded out. They're getting ready to work on the playing surface. The home locker rooms and the underbelly of the ballpark, all the wonderful clubs and places for fans to congregate are taking shape and are going to be breathtakingly cool. And the proximity of the fans to the field of play was what really opened my eyes.
Yeah.
First few rows of seats.
Very little foul territory. Right on top of the action.
So we'll show you some shots in a little while as Marcell Ozuna goes to work for the Fish here in the second. And that's upstairs.
And green seats. Loved it. When they get that green grass down to go with the green seats, it's going to be a jewel.
Popped off the screen, foul by Ozuna. It's 1-2. This is one tough customer. Ozuna took a fastball off the left knee from Mike Foltynewicz earlier in this series. Stayed in the game and has not missed an inning since. And he can hit. 22 homers. And sprayed that one out of play.
And a .424 average in his career against Julio with a couple of homers. I saw Foltynewicz today. He's still a little gimpy. He's got his leg still wrapped. Did not hit any of the shin bone, all calf muscle.
How about that pitch? That was a thing of beauty. Julio strikes out Ozuna. That's the first strikeout for either pitcher in the game. One away.
Good slider in a good spot.
Let's see if the Braves can figure out a way to get Justin Bour out. Bour hitting .342 against the Braves. 13 hits. And how about this for production? 3 homers, 10 RBIs, and he's walked 10 times. That floater's been an effective pitch.
When you have that big a hitch in your swing like Bour has, it's awfully tough once you commit to stop on an off-speed pitch. That's the drawback of it.
Slash towards second. That's going to be playable, and Jace makes it. Bour's retired. 2 out. And JT Realmuto is the Marlins catcher. He hits for the first time in the game. This guy is on his way to a terrific career. He's 25 years old, out of Del City, Oklahoma.
Suburb of Oklahoma City.
A 3rd-round pick.
Terrific high school quarterback at a very good high school football program.
Now Julio has things figured out. Lots of strikes here in the second. 0-2 your count. And you made a good point about Real Muto last night. He runs well, not just for a catcher, but for any position player. Last September 8th, he had a 2-homer game against Milwaukee. His second home run was an inside the park homer. So a year and almost a week ago tonight. Pitch is low. 2-2.
Good spot though for the changeup right there. Couldn't get him to fish for it.
That's poked foul down by the tarp in the outfield entrance to the Braves dugout. Popped up left side. Adonis over in front of the Marlins dugout is going to have room right at the railing, and that will retire the side. First perfect inning for Julio Teheran. That's encouraging to see. It's 1-0 Miami in front. Join the Braves for fantasy camp at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex in Kissimmee, Florida this January. Participants will join the Braves alumni legends for 5 days of instruction and games. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to live the life of a major league player. Visit Braves.com/fantasy camp for more details.
And you saw there a lot of former Braves that have participated in the past. Steve Avery, John Smoltz, Sid Bream, among others.
It is a blast. I got to participate in that about 4 or 5 years ago. Never knew polyester could stretch so far. However,
wow,
I punished that uniform.
I hesitate to think how many polys had to die for that.
But it is a blast. I mean, you suit up in the Braves spring training locker room, and they've got a kangaroo court. I mean, it's a blast. As Matt Kemp shoots one into shallow center field. He's got another hit, and Jose Fernandez will go to the stretch for the first time tonight. So log on to Braves.com/fantasy camp and find out more. I mean, you are treated like a major league player.
And Kemp 5 for 10 in this series. Continues his good work.
We've talked so much about what Matt Kemp has meant for Freddie Freeman and Adonis Garcia. Well, how about the run scoring opportunities Nick Markakis has had?
375 average, 2 and 7 the last 8 games on our Zaxby's indescribably good play. And it has been good play for Nick all year.
'82 runs batted in for Markakis. One of his 11 homers came against Jose Fernandez, and he had a good rip at that one.
So that was 95 miles an hour. He can range up to 98. Good slider, good changeup. Born in Cuba.
Downstairs, 2-2.
He's already had Tommy John surgery. That was a couple of years ago.
Well, he's facing
trouble with the count.
It's 2-2. Well, he's facing a different Braves lineup since early July. Remember, at that time the Braves weren't scoring many runs. This one's driven deep right field. Ozuna's going back. They're scoring runs in bunches again. A 2-run homer for Markakis.
Fernandez has walked all the way to home plate to ask Realmuto, how did Nick hit this ball? And I'd like to know the answer to it also. That pitch looked very much in, down and in, and he really had to pull his hands in to get the ball to it. And did it ever jump? Slider down and in. Not as far in as I thought it was. And he dropped the barrel on it in a big way.
So that pitch was called high. Fox track showed it was a strike, and all of a sudden you're seeing Fernandez get a little frustrated here. 2-1 Atlanta. And a strike. Sharply hit to short. Ball dropped. Long throw. It's not going to be in time. Flowers aboard. Just off the end of the glove of Miguel Rojas.
It'll be a base hit.
So 3 straight hits start the inning for Atlanta. And Jace Peterson is coming up. He's hit safely in 7 of 8. I can't think of another pitcher in Major League Baseball that has such dramatic home road splits as Jose Fernandez does.
No, they're crazy. The brilliance that he has and enjoys at home. And coming off one of those type starts against the Dodgers when he hooked up with Kershaw and Clayton made his comeback. Look at that. 7 innings, a 3-hit shutout ball with 14 strikeouts against the Dodgers.
And right now he is not a happy camper.
He was mad when he gave up the hit to Kemp, almost like he had plans on a no-hitter.
Well, he's got nobody out here in the 2nd inning, and he's on his 5th batter.
He's working at a warp speed too, and Realmuto may be going out to try to slow him down a little bit. His pitching coach out to do the same. Calm down, slow down.
A single, a homer, an infield hit, and now a walk. And that'll bring up Dansby Swanson. Dansby's hitting .303. Like the fact that Dansby's in there against Fernandez tonight. We have seen him be seated against the guys like Max Scherzer. So he's facing one of the top strikeout guys in baseball tonight.
Yep, you got to face him at some point. You want to be an everyday guy. It doesn't say every day except against the Aces.
That was called a strike on a check swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes now.
Well, I'll give Brian Gorman this. He has had a quick right hand on all the check swings in this series.
Bouncing ball past first and into right field for a hit. Flowers around third. He's going to score. Jace Peterson is at third, and Dansby Swanson guides one past Justin Bour to make it a 3-1 Atlanta game.
He did what he has done so many times already. It's behind in the count, shortens his swing, and willing to hit the ball the other way. Put it in play off the chalk from the left-handed batter's box. Bour doesn't have great range, couldn't get to that. Terrific approach.
So it's unraveling quickly for Fernandez here in the second inning. 5 straight Braves have reached, and leading 3-0 is Julio Teheran. 3-1, I beg your pardon, as he'll try to get Swanson into scoring position. And he backed away from a slider for a strike. There's the butt, and it's perfect.
Nobody covering.
Wow. D. Gordon never got to the first base bag. And look at Jose Fernandez. And look at Don Mattingly.
They must have had a play on, Chip, and everybody knew it except Jose Fernandez, because the shortstop went over to cover at third. Martin didn't charge, and D. Gordon was at second base. And that was messed up all around for the Marlins.
So it's a butt hit for Teheran, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. Fernandez will go to the windup, and Ender had a good rip. I mean, if ever there was a night where the Marlins needed Fernandez to come up big, tonight's the night. The Giants lost, the Mets lost, the Cardinals lost. And it's 3-1. Atlanta leading in the rubber game of this series.
On that heater. Cruz through the first inning. 9 pitches in the first. 24 so far this inning.
Markakis got the scoring started with a 2-run homer. Dansby Swanson followed with a run-scoring hit. Marlins had a defensive lapse on a Teran bunt attempt. Nobody covered first base.
Yeah, the more I looked at that from a wide shot, there were guys in the wrong spot all over the infield. If Rojas was going to go cover third on a wheel play, that means Prado would have been charging. Martin didn't charge, and yet with Rojas going to third, Dee Gordon stayed at second, so nobody at first.
And Bohr ended up on the slope of the mound.
Yeah, a wheel play that only one spoke knew what he's supposed to do, I guess.
Bouncing ball up the middle. That's going to be a double play, but another run's going to score. Chase Peterson comes home with the 4th run of the inning. Enciarte grounds into a 6-3 double play. No RBI. Dansby Swanson's at third base, but now it's a 3-run Atlanta lead. Garcia grounded out his first time up. 4-1. Mile high pop. And the shortstop Rojas is on the outfield grass, and he makes the play. 30 pitches for Fernandez in the 2nd inning. Nick Markakis hit a 2-run homer to turn the game in the Braves' favor. 2 more Braves scored. It's 4-1 after 2.
All year. Mike Soroka and Colby Allard. Tuki Toussaint has been really good too. Dustin Peterson, Austin Riley.
When he's hot, there's no hotter hitter. And when he hits them, there are no doubters.
These are guys we're putting our faith in. And we feel very happy with what we've seen from them so far.
That was Braves General Manager John Coppola as we continue with Prospect Week this week for the Braves. And we at Fox Sports South and Fox Sports Southeast. Later on tonight, Brian Bridges, the Braves scouting director, will join us and give us an update on what's happening down on the farm. There is a playoff game for Gwinnett ongoing tonight, and we will update you on that score and perhaps have some highlights a little bit later on this evening. Julio Teran has a 4-1 lead after 2, and he's got the 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming up for Miami. 0-2. Rojas missed some time with a groin strain, but he's back in action tonight. Off night for Adeiny Echeverria.
Julio got off to a little bit of a slow start tonight. A couple of stolen bases from D. Gordon factored in their run in the first, but he had a real smooth second inning. And hopefully he's on track.
Rojas is 27 years old, from Venezuela. And a man that Don Mattingly knows a thing about as well. He came over to the Marlins with D. Gordon and Dan Herron for Andrew Haney, Chris Hatcher, Kike Hernandez, and Austin Barnes in 2014. That almost hit him. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, one thing about it, when this guy starts, his last 19 starts hitting .313. So give him 3 or 4 at bats and he does a good job.
Julio's run the count full after jumping ahead 0-2. Popped up right side, foul ground. Freddie Freeman near the warning track, and now a step on to the track. Rojas retired, and here's Fernandez, who is a very good hitting pitcher.
He'll talk to everybody, and in a good-natured way. I like everything about this guy. I know he got a little sideways with the Braves one year for watching a home run he hit. But his interaction with Freddie Freeman, competing against each other, gave up 4 runs in the bottom half of the second, goes up with a smile on his face talking to Tyler Flowers.
To the left side, big hop for Dansby, and Fernandez takes it easy. He's the second out.
If there's one thing that at least visually to me stands out, he looks like he's put on some weight. Doesn't he look a lot heftier than he did?
He's got a little Livan Hernandez action working, barrel chested. He's listed at 243. D. Gordon singled, stole 2 bases, and scored the opening Miami run. Last 2 starts for Fernandez in this ballpark have not gone the way he planned. It's early, but the Braves lead 4-1. Pitch is served over the screen and out of play.
The outfield's decided that they don't want D. Gordon dumping any more base hits in front of him. Matt Kemp way in from left field. Inciarte also in center has moved over toward the left field line, and he's shallow. Those are different socks that D. Gordon has on. He's got stripes on his. I'm looking at Dietrich on deck. He doesn't have any stripes on his.
Huh. How does that happen?
I don't know.
Those stripes on Perry Hill. And now 2-2. And this one's popped up. And Dansby Swanson's on the infield grass, makes the play, and Julio has another 1-2-3 inning. He has set down 7 straight. Freddie Freeman goes to work for the Braves, who lead 4-1. Day for that lovely lady, and a happy result for Julio Teheran. He and the Braves lead 4-1 as Freddie Freeman leads off inning number 3. And as we continue with our Prospects Week, time to bring on the Braves scouting director, Brian Bridges.
Thank you, guys.
Here we are.
You've been traveling around a little bit lately, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, the summer's been going, and we're all back at it. I had Special Assistant Roy Clark in Florida last weekend.
And you've got 4 teams in the playoffs, or had 4 teams in the minor leagues in the playoffs. What a thrill that must be for you and your entire staff.
Definitely our staff, as well as, you know, I'd love to get a shout out to Johnny Moses, Luis Salazar, Rocket Wheeler, Randy Engel, and Nestor Perez for the job that they've done under Dave Tremblay and Jonathan Sherholtz. Those guys have been incredible, along with all the other coaches that have helped with these players.
And Randy Engel in particular, he had a milestone win for Rome earlier this year, didn't he?
He did. 1,500 wins, I think, for the old timer.
Line drive by Freeman into right field leads off the 3rd inning, and Fernandez is getting shellacked here in the early innings in Atlanta. So take us through your thought process, where the Braves were a year ago as opposed to where the Braves are 1 year later as far as the Braves farm system is concerned.
Well, I can tell you, when we sat when John Hart and John Copuella took over, we sat in the room right over there in left field, and we were looking at the prospect depth chart, and it was very thin, to say, you know. But now, looking back after 2 drafts, the trades that we've made to supplement what we've done in the draft and internationally, we've added a lot of players, and I think our prospects have moved on up, and it's been outstanding. I'm really pleased with what the staff's done. Under the tutelage of Roy Clark, he's helped me a lot at what we're doing and having the kids perform. That's the main thing, having those kids go out and do what they've done with the makeup and the ability that we've done as a staff under John Copuella and John Hart. It's been great.
There's a tough break. Matt Kemp with a floating line drive that D. Gordon catches and turns into a double play. Freeman was running with that pitch, so that's quickly 2 outs.
Let's talk about a few players. Sometimes we only focus, especially here on Prospects Week, about the guys who were high draft picks, who we've heard more about than others, and rightfully so. They've earned that. But a guy that I keep hearing about is A.J. Minter, the pitcher out of Texas A&M, and he was a high draft pick, but we don't hear much about him.
Yes, AJ's done a very good job. He rehabbed after Tommy John. He's up to 98 miles an hour. One thing I will tell you, he has no fear. The kid's very competitive. He's a strike thrower. Our staff, our pitching coordinator, Chuck Hernandez, has done a great job with him, bringing him along. And we are very pleased with where he is now and the jumps that he has made.
Come spring training, could he factor in a bullpen spot already in the big leagues? Is he that far along?
Well, I can tell you, that's a little bit over my head, but you know what? I'm a big fan of what the player's doing for sure.
Great.
2 quick strikes for Nick Markakis. We're visiting with Brian Bridges here in the ballpark as we continue with Prospects Week. Freddie Freeman extended his batting streak with a single here to start the inning. Kemp doubled up. And now Nick pops one up right behind the plate, but into the scouting area where Wayne Krivsky ducked out of the way here in the home third.
Probably landed right in his nachos. Messed up his scorebook.
There's nothing worse, is there, as a scout when you're sitting down there watching a game and you got a nice big bowl of nachos and you're stopped watching a foul ball, Brian, just lands right in your lap.
Yeah, it makes a bad night for your uniform for sure.
Yeah. Well, we've just I know Gwinnett at last report was up 1-0, but through 4+ innings, Chris Ellis was throwing a no-hitter.
Yes, Chris Ellis. We had talked about him earlier. I mean, 6'4", 94, 95, plus breaking ball. Good piece that John Copuella and John Hart got in that trade. I mean, he's been outstanding. Yes, with Anaheim. Or Los Angeles Angels of
whatever they are this year.
No doubt. So.
That's a little low. It's a full count.
Touki Toussaint had a great outing.
I was there.
Were you?
He had it from pitch 1.
Did he?
Yes. He did a very good job with all 3 of his pitches last night. Threw a lot of strikes. Velocity looked good. Pitched in and out with his fastball, his curveball, and his changeup, and did a real good job.
Markakis drills another one to deep right. Ozuna leaps up at the wall and makes the catch, and that retires the side. Brian, can you stick around for another half inning?
Yeah.
Got a lot more questions for you about the Braves farm system as the big league club enjoys a 4-1 lead at home tonight. Braves lead 4-1 over the Marlins. Time for our Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And Brian Bridges, it's one thing when your hometown guys talk about how excited they are about the prospects that are coming through your system, but when an impartial observer does this and says this about your farm system and the rapid improvement that you all have made, that has to be an incredible accomplishment and sense of pride for you and your staff.
It definitely does. And looking at that, you know, we are honored, and I think it's we are a team. We're all in this together. We all spend a lot of time in the draft room together. I'm very fortunate to have people that will speak their minds and have their own opinions about, you know, the players that we're evaluating, and we move forward with that and putting the board together. Everybody has a say, so that's a very big compliment right there to be number 3 for the Atlanta Braves.
During the 14-year championship run, there was so much talk of the Braves way. For the fans at home who hear that phrase, what does that mean from a scouting director's standpoint when you go out and evaluate high school kids or college players that you want to potentially bring into this system?
Well, first of all, you have to look at the ability, the Braves way. High impact, high tooled players. The other part of it is the makeup. The makeup of the player is so important. And if you look back and you think about the teams that John Sherholtz and Bobby Cox put together, and even the players they brought in to be with the club that was the core players, they had a very good group of players with the makeup of the other players they brought in to complement those. So you always look at it as 1, ability, 2, you have to have the makeup, and 3, you got to have the work ethic to get to your tools, and you definitely know that.
Well, that was something that I thought was very consistent throughout the system and was preached to. Another strikeout for Hula. Good pitch down and in. That was preached to everybody in the system was that you do that. Bobby doesn't like that. You know, Bobby Cox doesn't like that. You've got to do things a certain way or you're not going to get to the big league level because the manager doesn't like things done that way. I thought that was the best hammer the system had. And
it's still the same. It's just run by Jonathan Sherholtz.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there is no room for error. You will do it the Braves way or you will go home. And it does not matter who you are. And I like that approach. You know, being a scouting director, you want players to toe the line. Everybody should have expectations, and they should reach those expectations.
And I can't speak to this, maybe Joe can. I would think the player would want that as well. The player would want to know where the lines in the sand are so that there's absolutely no mistake about how he's expected to behave both on and off the field.
100%.
And I totally agree with it. And with the staff that Jonathan and Dave Tremblay and John Copuella and John Harder put together, the expectations are there, and we do have guys that were there.
That's driven down the right field line, but foul off the bat of Martin Prado.
And we do have guys that were there during those times. I mean, Randy Engel and the Rick Alberts.
Sure.
I mean, they're still around. Those guys know exactly what the Braves way is.
Well, you guys had what I thought was a tremendous draft, the amateur draft with Anderson, Wentz, Muller, your first 3. Tell me something. Tell me a little bit about Jeremy Walker, who I think was maybe a 5th or 6th round pick.
Jeremy Walker, Billy Best. We were very pleased. Billy had seen this guy, and then we trust Billy, wholeheartedly. I trust his evaluation and who he is. And this guy's been up to 95, throws downhill, has a slider, changeup.
Left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed.
He's 6'5", about 215 pounds.
So another big guy.
Yeah, another big guy. Yes, we're very pleased with the progress he had made in Danville for sure.
And where's he from? Where'd he come from?
He is from Gardner-Webb.
Okay.
2-2 pitch. And that's line to second. Jace Peterson measured that up. And Martin Prado with a long look out at Jace Peterson. Speaking of guys who played the game the Braves way, kind of hurts to see Martin Prado not doing that in the Braves uniform.
Yeah, definitely. I always loved the way Martin played the game. He played the game right, showed up every day to play. How could you not love him?
We did. Still do.
We heard a story about him in spring training this year that after a game there were 2 buses lined up outside their clubhouse, and the team wasn't going on a spring training road trip. They were trying to figure what the buses were for. Martin Prado took all the Latin players to dinner, and not just the ones on the 40-man roster in camp. every Latin player in their organization that was in spring training. He loaded them up on 2 buses and took them to dinner.
Well, that speaks volumes of the organization he grew up in as well.
Yeah.
You know, he grew up in the Braves way.
Somebody did that for him.
Exactly.
In the Atlanta organization, and he's paying it forward.
Exactly.
And it might be the guy that's pulling down the number later on tonight, Chipper Jones. Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe we'll ask him when he joins us later on tonight. 2 balls, no strikes for Yelich. That's upstairs. So let's talk, Brian, about the kids that you got out of Venezuela, Maitan and company. Tell us about their progress. Where are they? What's their matriculation, as it were, through the system as we wrap up 2016?
Well, I will tell you, you know, Gordon Blakely, his staff, Mark Russo, Mike Silvestri, those guys have done an outstanding job getting those players and getting them signed and getting them in the organization. You know, I think those guys will be in instructional league. They'll have a chance to take a look at them, evaluate them a little bit more. But as far as upside and what we're looking forward to build as an organization, they have some names that you don't even know about. Severino, shortstop. I compared him when I saw him, you know, on video to Hanley Ramirez. You know, this guy can get the ball airborne and hit it out of anywhere. You know, I personally take a real good liking to him. They've seen another shortstop down there named Soto. You know, I told him, I said, everybody's like, well, what are you going to get in the draft? What are you going to get in the draft? I said, well, it's kind of like Hartsfield Jackson Airport with the shortstops we have down there in Latin America. They got them lined up. So, you know, those guys have done an outstanding job, and we're very pleased where we are as an organization.
And that's a real sea change from the way things were done here for a long time. The Braves have made such a hugely dramatic increase in expenditure and scouting effort in Latin America, South America specifically.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tip my hat to John Copuella. He's done a great job with giving Gordon, you know, the chain to do what he needed to do. So it's been a very good change from where we were.
Time was called, so no play at first as Marcell Ozuna bats down a strike, 2 outs. Julio Teheran walked Christian Yelich to snap a 9-hitter in a row streak, retired.
I'll tell you another player that, you know, we didn't really get a chance to talk about, you know, and we're very pleased where he is. Bryce Wilson, kid out of North Carolina, 94, 96, slider, changeup, real strong body guy, played linebacker, quarterback, running back. I mean, he did it all on his football team, and this guy's got great makeup. And he fits right in with those other guys as well. I mean, there's a few players out there.
It must be fun, too, when you see these kids and you sign them as 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds, and you, in your mind's eye, think, okay, what's he going to project to be? And then you're right.
Oh, that's a great feeling, trust me. Because when it's the other way, you know, yeah. Then you worry about your job.
Right. That is a check swing strike. Again, Brian Gorman raises the right arm. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Let's talk about some position players. You know, we know about the stockpiling of pitchers, but let's talk about a few position players that you're high on.
Well, obviously Austin Riley.
Yeah.
You know, we're very pleased with him and what he's done. 40 doubles, 21 home runs. Jonathan Morales, 25th round catcher, converted guy out of Miami. Lou Sanchez did a very good job with him. He was a shortstop at Miami-Dade, and we converted him, and he ended up hitting over 300 in the Gulf Coast League last year. And this guy's got energy. He's got quick feet. He's done it down in Rome, you know, about 277 with about 4 home runs.
But a shortstop type mentality behind the plate.
Definitely. He moves very well on his feet, and they've done a good job with him down there.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Ozuna. Julio has had to work a little harder here in the Marlins 4th. He's up to 63 pitches. And that's off the plate, 2-2. So you sweating out the Gwinnett game tonight? You watching that thing on your mobile device?
Yeah, we're watching it. You know, I think the boys will pull through. You know, Johnny Moe took over that team. I mean, you got to think about what he did. Snicker takes over. I mean, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Something to say right there, putting those guys in the playoffs.
And considering all the player moves the Braves made with their AAA club this year to have Gwinnett make the playoffs, and
Ellis through 6 innings, no hits, leading 1-0 in the 7th inning for the G Braves. That is pulled foul at third base. Lenny Harris over taking a look at the spot right behind third. He thought it might have been a fair ball.
That's pretty good.
Ramon De Jesus was a guy that the Marlins had a little problem with last night when he was behind the plate arguing balls and strikes with it.
First Dominican-born umpire in Major League history.
Really?
He's the man at third base. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's swept off the plate, full count.
Julio's doing something rhythm-wise that to me is causing a lot of deep counts. He took a lot of time getting signs from Tyler when he was pitching to Yelich, walked him on 4 pitches. Now runner at first, holding the ball in his stretch for long periods of time. It's like it's throwing off his rhythm a little bit, especially on his slider. Hopefully he won't be quite as deliberate on this pitch, knowing the runner's going.
And knowing that Bohr's on deck. There goes Yelich. The pitch cut on and popped up out of play. So Brian, anything surprise you more than anything else this summer in the minor leagues as far as players were concerned?
I will say Corbin Klaus.
Okay.
The kid we got from Davenport in Michigan. He's a starter, left-handed pitcher. Terry Tripp Jr. Rick Sellers did an outstanding job with him. We put him in the bullpen. His numbers have been outstanding. He's up to 95 from the left side. Good little short curveball. He's done an outstanding job and pitched his way all the way to Rome.
Brian, congratulations on a great summer. We really appreciate your help and telling us about the prospects during Prospects Week. More to come, folks. The future is bright in large part because of the work of this very talented and big Braves executive. 4-1 your score. Bottom of the 4th coming up. Again, our thanks to Brian Bridges in his 2nd year as the Braves scouting director. That guy has seen more country roads and small town diners than just about any man in this organization. And he is passionate. He is a Braves fan and he knows his stuff.
I'm told that he set a record last summer for most sweet iced tea and Thousand Island dressing consumed in one summer.
I'll be darned. Little known fact about Brian Bridges. And I know we keep saying the future is bright, and I know we keep saying the kids are coming. It is hard to have patience. It is hard to see it through, but during this disappointing major league season, as far as the record is concerned, you have to look at the big picture, and the big picture starts with the work of guys like Brian Bridges and Roy Clark and Paul Snyder and the countless other scouts, minor league managers and coaches, and the players themselves.
There's Aaron Blair right there. He pitched last night for Gwinnett.
Yeah.
I know it's on a rehab assignment, but it's odd to see him in the dugout.
Powder River to Tyler Flowers, full count. Motion's got the best of Jose Fernandez in the second inning. Kemp had a hit. Markakis hit a homer. He couldn't believe it. That surrendered the lead. 4 more Atlanta batters reached in a row. And by the time the smoke was clear, the Braves had scored 4 runs in the inning. And with 1 out here in the Braves' 4th inning, it's time for our Turner Field trivia. Jose Fernandez has 36 career strikeouts at Turner Field. What Marlin has the most career strikeouts in this ballpark?
Oh boy, there's a lot of choices there. Oddly enough, he hasn't added to that strikeout total tonight. He's averaging more strikeouts per 9 innings than any pitcher in baseball, and he has not fanned anyone yet.
12.9 strikeouts per 9.
But a lot of choices. Josh Beckett, A.J. Burnett, Al Leiter, Kevin Brown. Oh, I like Kevin Brown.
Dontrell Willis.
Yeah.
Two balls and a strike. But this is kind of our pattern. We think of everybody on the other team we know and say, okay, it's got to be one of those guys, and then we're surprised because it's not.
Yeah, because we forgot about that guy.
Exactly. Jace tips it and stays alive. He walked and scored in the big Braves second inning. We are at a competitive disadvantage tonight too, because we don't have a third crew member to help us broaden the guest total, as Peterson walks for a second time and is aboard with 1 out. We're told Chipper Jones will be here with us tonight. Chipper's pulling down the number 10, as you would expect at the ballpark. Chipper said he was going to join us for the broadcast, so maybe we can wait to answer the question until after Chipper gets here, so he might make a guess. Big hit for Dansby Swanson. The other way, his first time up, and he turned on that 94-mile-an-hour pitch and smoked it foul. You made a point about Dansby about 2.5 weeks ago that I think is even more apropos now. And Joe, you said that he's caught up to the speed of the game here.
Yeah, I think it took him a little bit, like it does most people, to realize how quickly the game moves at this level.
Bouncing ball right through the legs of the umpire. What reactions by Dee Gordon to start a double play. Wow, that ball was whistled right back up the middle, and Gordon stayed with it, and the Braves are out of luck in the bottom of the 4th inning. 4-6-3, inning ending twin killing, and we go to the 5th with the Braves up by 3 runs.
Presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
4 innings complete. It's 4-1 Braves. Julio Teheran back to work. Boer, Realmuto, and Rojas are coming up on a pretty night for baseball here at Turner Field. Boer rolled out to second. Back in the second for the Fish. Next up for Miami is a series with the Phillies. They'll be off in Philadelphia tomorrow. Braves are off and get ready for the Nationals this weekend. And another ground ball. Boer rolls over, and Teheran getting a lot of grounders this afternoon, and even has a good start to the 5th. One man down.
His first Ford Key was 1, 2, 3 innings, and he did not have that in the first inning. Gave up a run, but had a 3 up and 3 down inning in the second and the third. And the walk was the only blemish in the 4th.
Realmuto, a 1-out single.
Probably broke his bat, but this guy continues to impress. This was a fastball, had a lot of the plate. Looked like it was above the belt. But a nice, short, quick swing.
Rojas popped out to lead off the Miami third.
Well, I don't know what's going on in Kansas City, but the Oakland A's, who are in last place in the American League West, are just wearing out the Royals, and up 5-0 tonight, bottom of the 4th inning.
With each passing loss, the hopes for Kansas City to make the playoffs, even as a wild card, are fading. Kansas City's just 4 games over 500 at the start of play tonight, and 5 games back.
And too many teams to climb over.
Yeah. Houston, Seattle, New York, Detroit, Toronto, and Baltimore are the teams in front of the Royals. And Mr. Rojas with pitcher next. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tipped and caught. Rojas didn't get it. Might have swung at a bad ball, but Teheran will take the break and the strikeout. 2 away, and here is Fernandez.
Boy, that one rode up and in on him. Fastball had a little hop.
Julio Teheran leads the game 4-1. He leads the strikeout game 4-0. And he's got the pitcher Fernandez in the box. And fooled him. Strike 1. There's Jose Fernandez.
He had his mind made up to swing when he left the on-deck circle.
Whoa, upstairs. That breaking ball didn't bite.
Gordon helping him out there, dusting him off. Yeah, that slider was close. Didn't break. Julio Teheran leads off the bottom half of the inning.
Didn't get it. 1-2. I mean, you might be tempted to throw your best country fastball at this guy, but again, he can hit a fastball.
Yeah, and that's what he's geared up for too on these swings.
One ball, 2 strikes. Here it is. And a swing and a miss. Breaking ball's got Fernandez. He flips the bat. He tosses the helmet. Or is about to, as this game heads to the home fifth. This season we celebrate the top moments in Turner Field's history. Here's to 20 years, brought to you by Synovus, the bank of here. Chipper Jones with a milestone home run, number 400. Look who shook his hand as he rounded third base. Brian Snitker. And after 3 more outs, Chipper Jones will pull down the number 10, and we will be in single digits games left here at Turner Field.
I'm not sure he hit that off of, but I thought it was Juan Nicasio. No, not Nicasio. Is that right? Who am I thinking of was one of their starting pitchers that seemed to pitch here every time they came through town. Nolasco. Thanks, Gretchen. Ricky Nolasco. She wouldn't have told me that had that been the answer, so it's not him.
Well, but it's interesting you say that, because if he pitched here every time they came to town, then logically he might have the most strikeouts of any Marlin, and he would be a name that we didn't list
right
with that flurry of guesses that came after the question was revealed. So had to put Ricky Nolasco down as a possibility. Chipper Jones as Julio Teheran shoots one to right. Might be a play at first, and Bohr makes the play.
Ozuna came on, charged from right field, and threw out Julio Teheran 9-3. And instead of a leadoff hit, it's the first out of the inning.
Yeah, that was really frustrating for Fernandez because he got knocked down by Julio, then struck out. Now he gives up a single to him. Or did he? Look where Ozuna was playing. Nice pick by Bohr, by the way. Right fielders are not used to throwing to first base.
Who was that? Was it Mike Minor in Houston?
Yes.
Mike Minor in Houston was thrown out at first base, denying him his first big league hit.
Right.
So it doesn't happen very often. But Julio can laugh last. He's got the lead. Bouncing ball foul by Inciarte. So I'm going to write the names down. We got Nolasco, Beckett,
Burnett, Brown,
Leiter,
Willis. Not Kevin, you know. Kevin, of course, plays for the Atlanta Hawks.
He does.
Or did.
And I don't think Jorge Sosa would be on that list of Marlins standouts either. The pitch is golfed into right center field. Ozuna ranging to his right is going to get there. And that's the second out. And what I was going to say is Julio hit that ball to right field. We had that great shot of Chipper. One of the great things about Chipper Jones as a player was how coachable he was. Did you see him accepting the coaching being given as far as what he has to do?
Well, we'll see if he's able to apply it.
A strike. Now, are there, I guess there are two numbers that he has to pull down. That might be tough duty for him.
He's a switch hitter. You can use both arms, you know, to pull the 1 and the 0.
Hadn't thought of that.
Because there's obviously no number behind the 1. He doesn't have to worry about yanking down 2 numbers there.
That rolls foul. Garcia back to first, 2 strikes.
So do I have to wave it like everybody? Do I wave it the upper deck too and everybody around?
And which number is he going to pull down first? The 1?
Oh no, same time. He's got to pull them both down.
Same time?
Yeah, stand right in between. Just get after it. There's practice. That's good. He'll do his patented sign language wave too.
Right. No balls, 2 strikes. And popped up. Ozuna had himself quite an inning, didn't he? He threw out a man at first base on an attempted base hit, 2 pop outs. And here's the man of the hour, Chipper Jones, number 10, will make his way out to the left field wall. And in just a moment, we will be in single digits games left here at Turner Field.
Oh, what is this help? What is this going on here? Hey, hey, hey.
Nobody wants to see the bald guy pull the number down.
Oh, what is that? See up there, you can grab it and pull it now that I've done all this for you. What is going on here? More instructions.
And the crowd on its feet watching the very nice video tribute for Chipper Jones. And in a minute, he's going to get a big ovation. And there it is.
Okay, I've waved. See, he's pulling both numbers. That was great.
Whoa.
Careful. Wave. Okay.
So Chipper is on his way. Get something cool to drink, and then he'll join us here in the booth as the Braves enjoy a 4-1 lead over 5 innings and officially 9 games remaining here at Turner Field. And there are some special events planned for our weekend series with the Nationals, and then our final 2 series with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Detroit Tigers, including the biggest fireworks show in Braves history. For more information on the Braves final homestand, go to Final Countdown at Braves.com and get all the details. You don't want to miss it. Gordon bounces one that stayed fair, and he's got at least 2. Gordon's on his way to second. He's going to have a triple, and that's how the Marlins' 6th gets started. He can really fly, and he just guided that ball down the right field line. 5th triple for D. Gordon.
Freddie was playing him off the line too. Not expecting him to turn on a ball, but he got a breaking ball up in his eyes. You can see Freddie, all he could do was watch. He knows he's got 3 easy right there.
So Thunder coming up for Miami. Dietrich, the batter, he's 0 for 2. And he bounces this one. Foul at first. Way high, even count. How about the Twins? They're scoring runs in bunches with Dozier and Buxton terrorizing the American League. Brian Dozier's up to 41 home runs now. And they're giving the Tigers some trouble. The Tigers are 2 games back in the wild card, tied with the Yankees. Well, the Yankees won't go away.
What a second half Dozier's had. He's got to be pushing 30 homers for the second half.
Ground ball right side. That'll get a run home. Jace Peterson stumbled, and that cost him. And Dietrich's aboard. So it's a 4-2 game. And the tying run, Martin Prado, comes to the plate.
So you're playing back just to concede a run for this type of play, so you got more range and ability to get an out, clear the bases. Jace just got too far out over his feet.
That's an infield hit and an RBI. And that brings up the man who's the subject of our Academy leaderboard, Martin Prado.
National League ranks this year 5th in hits, road average, RISP, and unfortunately for him, the most double plays hit into. How about another one right here? Argyle looked it up for me. Dozier's hit 26 homers since the All-Star break in 57 games.
26 homers in 57 games. Freddie Freeman's hit 30 home runs this year. Matt Kemp's hit 31 this year. Prado just got hit by a pitch. So now Julio Teheran has faced 3 hitters, and 3 hitters have reached base in the 6th inning.
That was not a breaking ball, but hopefully that arm guard for Martin took most of the brunt of it. Julio's been pitching inside tonight a lot, but that one certainly got away from him.
Marlins trying to give Jose Fernandez new life. One in, 2 on, nobody out. And Christian Yelich, who's been wearing out the Braves, is the batter. Action begins in the Atlanta pen. High fly ball left. Kemp drifting back, still going back, still going back, and onto the warning track, makes the play. Dietrich tags, he'll take third. Smart play to throw the ball into second base to keep the double play in order. And Marcell Ozuna will be the hitter with runners at first and third.
Good strong throw by Matt Kemp to prevent Prado from even thinking about it.
Ozuna hasn't made contact tonight.
Yeah, he took exception to one that was a little high and tight his last time up, and then struck out on sliders.
Swing and a drive down the line. A line drive home run. And the Marlins are off the deck and take the lead. That ball was absolutely vaporized.
And he stood at home plate and enjoyed it. Hanging slider. We used to say about Ozuna, anything bending, you got a chance with him. He's a great fastball hitter. But this year he has been much better on breaking pitches. That one was a hanging slider that cost Julio staying in the game.
So the Braves have a 4-run inning. The Marlins have a 4-run inning. This one, though, costs Julio the lead. Miami 5, Atlanta 4, courtesy of a Marcell Ozuna rope to left. Instant replay. Here's what took place just a moment ago. Look at the form. Look at the raw athleticism. Look at the focus. And look at the mess he made.
That lady on the right, man. She really had to get down there and help me.
Yeah, he almost took down 3 numbers.
Oh, man, I can't bend over that far. I'm 50 years old, man.
That's good to see you, man.
It's good to be here.
Can you believe there's 9 games left here? Just 9?
It's crazy. Crazy. But, you know, on to brighter horizons. You know, I mean, it's awesome that you know, I dropped by that stadium quite a bit, and it's going to be state of the art. It's going to be awesome. It should be a very exciting time for the Braves players and Braves organization and Braves fans.
Have you taken the tour yet?
I have not. I've had people call me 2 or 3 times, and for some reason I've been out of town or been busy, haven't been able to get over there.
Well, I'm going to use the phrase that Freddie Gonzalez used when he saw it for the first time. You might pull a hamstring going from the locker room into the trainer's room, because it's like 30,000 square feet, man.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I spent plenty of time in that training room, and if you can't find it, then you can't get treatment. You can't be on the injured list. You know?
So we got a tour today, and it's very, very special.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very intimate, close to the field, great amenities for the fans.
Is Atlanta going to have another hitter's park or a pitcher's park?
You know what? I think it's going to be more of a hitter's park.
Oh, you'd be happy. You know what it is? See the 390 sign?
Yeah. I went out to dinner with Freddie Freeman the other night for his birthday 2 nights ago, and we were both talking really badly about that 390 sign out there. It got us some doubles, but unfortunately it cost us some homers throughout the years.
Well, it's going to be 325 down the line to right with a 12-foot wall, and then the wall drops down a little bit right around the bullpen, and it's going to be shorter to right center than it is to left center in the new ballpark.
375 and 380.
Yeah,
you got to cater to your best player.
There you go.
I'm sure Freddie will.
As they did here.
Yes.
Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz.
Exactly. Unfortunately, they didn't consult me when the dimensions came into play out here.
What's your favorite memory of playing here? Do you have one? Have you thought about that?
I think the All-Star game in 2000 was awesome. You know, being able to host and be able to play in an All-Star game in your home ballpark, and then go 3 for 3 and hit a homer. That was obviously you know, a huge. I can't even begin to count how many just unbelievable memories. The last one would probably be the walk off of Pavel Bond.
Yeah.
And hearing your call, I mean, your call kind of gets me jacked up whenever.
Well, thanks, man.
You know,
we were fired up too. Yeah. I mean,
I know that that every once in a while you get a premonition, and when you said if Chipper pops one right here, the roof is going to come off this place, and then, you know, a pitch or 2 later it happened. It's just, you know. Smoltz's 3,000 strikeout, you know, was huge. I remember that one. There's a bunch of stuff. It's too many to name.
Well, we'll let you think about that. I will tell you this. We broadcasters love it when you players follow the script. And you did it a lot here in Atlanta. 5-4, Marlins have the lead.
Lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning with Joe Simpson and Kelsey Winkert. Braves Hall of Famer Chipper Jones joins us up in the booth for Game 3 of our series with the Marlins. Freddie Freeman's going to lead off for the Braves. And Chipper, as Braves fans know, you had so many patented hot streaks during your playing career. Can you remember a player other than yourself having the kind of streak that Freddie Freeman's on since the break?
That's an awfully good one. You knew it was just a matter of time, especially with the start that he got off to, that he was going to have a stretch during the course of the summer where you weren't going to be able to get him out. And we've seen those drastic ups and downs with Freddie. If we can ever get him to just level him out just a little bit and get him to cut down on his strikeouts when he does go into those funks. You know, I think you're talking about a guy over the second half that if he could match that with the first half, be in the talk for an MVP.
I heard that you said that if he could cut down on his strikeouts, get him down around 100 or so, maybe a little under, that he could certainly be in the MVP consideration. So what does he have to give up to cut down on the strikeouts?
Well, I think we all have to give up something. You know, I mean, we can't all swing for the downs every single pitch. I mean, he's got to make a conscious effort to put the ball in play or to draw his walks. And as that happens, his on-base percentage is going to go up. His batting average is going to go up just by the percentage of balls in play. And you know, now that he's busted the top on 30 homers, we already know he can drive in 100 runs.
Yeah.
If he's got somebody hitting behind him, he'll score 100 runs. And that's what number 3 hitters are supposed to do in this game, is drive in 100 and score 100.
Pop fly to right. Ozuna is there, and that'll be the second out. And I would think that part of Freddie's surge is because the Braves added that guy hitting behind him.
100%. I think Matt coming here and providing your best hitter with protection, also lengthening out the lineup, has done wonders. I mean, since he got here, they're scoring over 5 runs a game, which is tremendous.
Yeah.
A tremendous improvement compared to, you know, the first whatever, you know, 80-90 games before he got here. So it's he's been great. I look forward to a full year of Matt Kemp next year and whatever additions we happen to make during the offseason.
How about this guy? He's up to 84 RBIs.
You know what, for him to have 84 RBIs on this ball club this year, tremendous testament to and you guys know what kind of guy. This guy's a pretty intense guy. I mean, you dip your toe in the water before you walk up to him, just to see what kind of mood he's in, you know, because I've talked to him a couple times. He's been looking at the back of my skull. You know, I mean, ouch. But yeah, and that's Nick, probably not going to make him very happy either. But
no, and Nick knows that it wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
2 outs, nobody on. This was no accident. Hit him in the pocket, I think. Above the pocket.
That's a good spot. That doesn't hurt.
That'll be all right then.
Yeah, well, he had a 2-run homer, and then he took Ozuna to the fence. So message sent. We'll see if
I think it was more than that. I think it was more Martin getting hit, him getting dusted. I think there was a little bit to that.
Well, he got dusted with a slider.
Yes, he did.
So he's got nothing to be mad at. You want to retaliate for Martin? That's one thing, but he's got nothing to be mad at.
By the way, Freddie's strikeouts, his first strikeout tonight.
That's right. And with that in mind, Chipper, we need some help because our trivia question tonight was Jose Fernandez now with 37 strikeouts in Turner Field. The question was, who has the most strikeouts by a Marlins pitcher against the Braves in this ballpark? We came up with 6 names. Willis, Leiter, Brown, Burnett, Beckett, and Ricky Nolasco. And you know Nolasco very well, as we showed on the highlight. The home run against him.
And while most people would probably think Beckett or Burnett,
Kevin Brown.
Kevin didn't pitch here a ton. I'm going to say Ricky Nolasco. He had a couple of big strikeout games here, like 10, 12, 14 strikeout games.
I'm going to get on the crazy train. I'm going to go on the crazy train and go to Alaska also.
He's coming with me. I like it.
All right, I got to spread it around just to cover, just in case.
You just got to be different.
Well, you know that.
Yeah.
I'll go with Josh Beckett just to see if.
All right, that's a good one.
If it's not Nolasco, as this ball's hit to short. Rojas will flip to D. Gordon. And we are going to answer the question as we say thank you to Chipper Jones. Congratulations on
thank you, buddy.
Job well done. Always a pleasure. Here's the answer. It is Ricky Nolasco.
Good job.
So Chipper Jones is on the board at Turner Field.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
Yep.
He's the best. 5-4 Miami. And Braves related and MLB related for that matter. Check it all out at MLB.com @bat. Major League Baseball very excited about their advanced media, and the MLB.com @bat app is the best. 5-4 is your score as we head to inning number 7. Realmuto Rojas and the pitcher spot coming up for the Marlins, who got a 3-run homer from Marcell Ozuna to snatch the lead away from Julio Teheran.
You wonder how different the inning would have been last inning for Julio if Jace is able to keep his feet, get the out, concede the run, and then have one out at that point and nobody on.
Fly ball toward Kemp in left. Matt's going to catch that, and a little hop in his step makes the play for out number 1. Miami scored first in the first. D. Gordon with a bloop hit, stole second, stole third, came home on Martin Prado's infield hit. The Braves got 4 runs in the second inning. Kemp singled, Markakis homered, Flowers a base hit, Peterson a walk, Swanson, Teheran hits. And in the blink of an eye, Jose Fernandez was down 4-1, and now that pitch is behind Jose Fernandez, who takes exception. The ball thrown behind him, and Tyler Flowers is all in Fernandez's face.
And Freddie Freeman jumped right in front of Jose. D. Gordon is the guy holding Fernandez back. Huh. And Markakis right there. Of course, he's the guy that got hit. And he may be explaining to Nick that he didn't mean to do it, or apologizing. Otherwise, Nick wouldn't be walking away.
So you were right. There was more to it. And Ramirez threw behind Jose Fernandez.
And that's what he's complaining about, that he threw one up around his head.
So I believe Ramirez was ejected immediately after that ball sailed behind the Marlins starter. He's going to have a 1-0 count. Fernandez still pleading his case with Don Mattingly, the Marlins skipper. And now the umpires will confer in front of the plate. And we'll see if there are any more ejections here in the 7th inning. This is not the first time that a Braves catcher has had an at-length conversation with Jose Fernandez regarding a controversial play in this head-to-head series.
No. Brian McCann tried to teach the young Fernandez a thing or two about running the bases after a homer. So the Braves will need a new pitcher. One thing's for sure, when Tyler Flowers gets in front of you, if you even think about going to the mound, you're going to have a long trip.
So you know what Brian Schnitker is saying. You're going to throw my guy out, but Fernandez smoked Nick Markakis, and he's allowed to continue in the game. At least he is to this point.
Eddie Perez was hot. And Brian Schnitker continues to plead his case with Marvin Hudson, but I don't know that he's going to get anywhere. Here's the pitch from Ramirez. And you know what? Jose Fernandez knew it was coming, or he wouldn't have been squaring around to show bunt. He was going to try to figure out a way to get out of whatever was coming his way. There's Tyler stopping that from getting anywhere. Take another look at it.
Yeah,
how close was it? He's showing bunt behind him, up above his head. Jose wasn't going anywhere. He was saying, let's go. Freddie, Jace, right there immediately to get in front of Ramirez. Terry Pendleton. Matt Kemp's going to work his way to the front of the line.
Brandon Kniff is going to come on and pitch. You saw Chris Johnson with a word for Jose Fernandez. You might recall Chris Johnson was the man that was barking at Fernandez in Miami too, when Brian McCann intercepted him at the plate. That time though, Chris was playing for the Braves when the bench is cleared.
Yeah, Chris ran around behind Brian McCann. Well, for Brandon Kniff, he's got his wind sprints in. He came running in with the bullpen when the bench is empty. Then he had to run back to the bullpen and get his glove, and now run back to the mound and start warming up. He should be loose.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Ramirez did his job. He protected Nick Markakis. He, however, was ejected, and he will now make his 11th appearance of the season. Fernandez will have a 1-ball count with Miami leading here in the 7th inning. Fernandez, look, I can understand to a certain degree his reaction. I would assume, Joe, that a hitter's natural reaction to a pitch like that is to back away, and if he had backed into that ball up around his shoulders, that was his major beef, I would assume.
I agree. I agree with that, but I think he told you exactly what his intentions were with Nick Markakis when he squared around to bunt, because he knew he might get plunked. He even came to the plate and was talking to Tyler Flowers before that pitch, almost like he was asking, don't know, maybe we can find out after the game, asking if he was going to get hit.
Yeah,
or
is it coming?
Yeah, or to explain or plead his case that it was an accident that he hit Nick, and it wasn't.
So Kniff will have as much time as he needs to get ready, and he says he's good to go. So I'm assuming warnings were issued to both the Braves and Marlins benches after the benches were cleared. Ramirez ejected from the game. If there are any more beanballs or inside pitches, then the managers would be ejected, as would be the pitcher. And all of that, of course, is subject to interpretation by the home plate umpire, and therein lies the difficulty. No one knows the intent. They can guess, but nobody knows for sure. So order restored. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't get ugly, but there were some hot feelings flowing.
1 ball, 1 strike. We'll see what effect this has on Fernandez in the bottom of the 7th. He'll have the bottom of the order for the Braves in a 1-run lead at least. Fernandez strikes out. That delights the crowd. 2 outs. And back to the top of the order, and D. Gordon, who's been a pest. His leadoff triple down the right field line got things started for the Fish last inning. He scored twice and has had a good series. One ball, 1 strike.
Issue for Kniff here is to hold him right there. Keep it a 1-run game. Braves are scoring runs and a ton of them.
To short. Dansby's got it and boots it. And D. Gordon is aboard on a 2-out error at shortstop. Swanson's 6th error, and Gordon's aboard for a 3rd time.
Ball didn't seem to do anything. It didn't do anything. It actually was in the glove, and he just shoveled it out. Kniff ought to be out of the inning. Instead, he's out of the game.
He leaves with a strikeout. The man at first, Gordon, is his responsibility. Ian Kroll will be summoned next. Derek Dietrich is the scheduled Miami hitter.
By Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Miami 5, Atlanta 4, and a bench clearing incident as well tonight. On a beautiful evening here at Turner Field. We count down the final games here at the TED. It's your chance to help us determine the team that should represent 20 great years of baseball here in downtown Atlanta. Voting for the Toyota All Turner Field team is now open. Tell us who you think should man each of the infield and outfield positions, and a full 5-man All Turner Field pitching rotation. Go to Braves.com/Turner Field team through September 26th and cast your vote.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if you can ride in on that deal for Prado or for Kelly Johnson at second base. I would encourage you to do so. Maybe you can do it through Twitter.
Gordon's going. Jeff Francoeur pinch hitting, and D. Gordon has his 3rd stolen base of the game. Again, he went on first move, and Tyler Flowers had very little chance. So he's got 20 swipes.
Pretty good jump off a left-handed pitcher.
Miami looking for some insurance. Hot shot. Adonis off his glove. Picked it back up and made the throw. What a play.
Great play. Great adjustment.
It hit him in the glove. Popped out of the leather. Popped straight into the air. And with a backhand stab made the play. And a perfect throw to send us to the stretch.
of the 7th, and 3 Braves minor league teams in playoff action. 1 playing tonight, and that is Gwinnett in a best-of-5 series. So let's take a look at the playoff picture with our Xfinity game break. The G Braves had a 1-0 series lead, and Chris Ellis started tonight. He threw 6 innings of no-hit ball. Gwinnett had a 1-0 lead going into the bottom half of the 9th, but the Rail Riders would score 2 to end it to even the series. The good news is that Gwinnett has games 3, 4, and if necessary 5 at Gwinnett. And if you see that, all teams in action tomorrow night, and the Braves are off. So that sounds like a perfect opportunity for you guys to road trip and check out some of the younger talent.
Sounds like a plan, Kelsey. Thank you very much for that. It's getting late in Atlanta. Bottom of the 7th inning. 5-4 Miami has the lead. Jose Fernandez has the bottom part of the order. Jeff Francoeur stays in the game to play left field after he was robbed a moment ago.
Yeah, speaking of robbed, that game for Gwinnett, they got beat in the bottom of the 9th inning without giving up a hit. Walks and hit batsmen.
So again, Jose Fernandez, a man that pitches with a lot of emotion. Sometimes it's to his benefit, sometimes it's not. A very emotional 7th inning. The last thing he wants to do is start walking people with a 1-run lead. 3 balls and a strike. Fly ball center. Yelich retreats, and he'll have room for the first out. Nice comeback for Fernandez. That brings up Dansby Swanson, who has an RBI hit, and he's also hit into a double play.
They have 2 guys up in their bullpen, a lefty and a righty, Dunn and Phelps. If Fernandez gets in any trouble.
That's in for a strike. Bohr gives chase, but he won't have a play. And a fan from Social Circle, Georgia, makes the play, and it's 0-2. He went around, and Real Muto will make the throw to first for out number 2. Put out goes 2-3. Gordon Beckham was in the on deck circle. He'll be called back, and it looks like Brandon Snyder is going to hit. Quick visit from Juan Nieves. Braves try to have lightning strike twice in as many nights with Brandon Snyder. He had a pinch hit last night. And Freddie Freeman may be headed to the emergency room. And apparently Freddie's family just left the ballpark too. His wife Chelsea may be headed into labor. So we were told at a moment's notice that if that were happening, Freddie was going to get out of Dodge quickly.
Maybe the reason for the switch in pinch hitters so that Snyder can stay in the game and play first.
So Snyder, whose single last night was his first 1-base hit of the year. His streak of opening the year with 8 extra base hits was the longest such streak by a Braves player in the modern era, which dates back to 1900. One ball, 2 strikes. And a Rays swing and a miss. Fernandez strikes out 2 men in a row and has a perfect 7th inning. It's 5-4 Marlins. This game heads to the 8th.
Started right here. Slider got away from Julio, kind of dusted Jose Fernandez early in the game, and then a fastball that nailed Martin Prado when he was trying to pitch inside. And a little payback here, as with 2 out, nobody on, Fernandez nailed Nick Markakis. And the next inning, Fernandez got one up by the head from Jose Ramirez, and the bench is empty. Nothing more came of it other than some hot tempers. So our Toyota key plays tonight. A lot of interaction between these two ball clubs. Some of it not good.
Fernandez leads by a run. Blake Lally takes over at first base for the Braves. Say that 5 times fast. And Mauricio Cabrera is on. He's pitching in his 35th game. The other story, Freddie Freeman left the ballpark in a very big hurry. We will hope for the best, as we were told that his wife Chelsea was due to go into labor at any minute. And if Freddie got that call, he would depart immediately. So Freddie, Chelsea, good luck. 1 ball, no strikes for Martin Prado, and that one way high. Ball 2.
Cabrera had a bad outing a couple of outings ago against the Mets. 3rd of an inning, 2 hits, 3 walks, 4 runs, 3 were earned. His next outing against these guys 2 days ago, his fastball velocity was down.
And I know that sounds funny when a man's throwing 95 miles an hour to say.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's 99 to 101.
Normally. He hasn't hit 100 in a while.
And he just walked Prado on 5 pitches. And the heart of the order is coming up for the Fish, trying to extend a 1-run lead.
In fact, over his last 4 outings, he has more walks than strikeouts, 3-1.
And that isn't like Cabrera.
4-1 now. No, it's not.
Yellow Joe for 2 with a walk. He hit into a first inning double play, fly to left, and walked. That's out of play left side, and nice grab by fan from Valdosta, Georgia, here tonight. Driven toward left. Kemp long run. That is not going to get there. So Yelich gets another swing. Cubs beat the Cardinals 7-0 today. Their magic number to clinch the Central's now at 1. They'll have a chance to do that at Wrigley Field next. The Giants were 1 strike away from beating the Padres last night. Instead gave up a home run to lose. They lost again to the Padres 3-1 today.
Giants can't get out of their own way, especially offensively. Bumgarner started that game too and took the loss.
Swing and a miss. The bat pops off the protective netting, and Yelich is out number 1. Wilson Ramos hit a late home run for Washington today. They beat the Mets 1-0. Phillies over the Pirates 6-2. Boy, Pittsburgh's had a disappointing year.
I think they've shut down Garrett Cole for the rest of the year.
That's correct. We'll get you some of the key American League scores in a minute as Marcell Ozuna is the batter. He hit a ball a country mile his last time up, a 3-run homer that gave the Fish the lead. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Flowers' throw is off target, and it's a stolen base for Prado.
.424 feet, the tail of the tape on the homer that Ozuna hit.
There's triple digits, but off the mark. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tyler Flowers has had a really rough time throwing out base stealers. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but they've stolen 4 tonight in as many chances.
He's 1 for 55 then, counting the 4 for 4 tonight.
Of course, that's not all his fault, but wow.
In fact, the Braves catching corps has caught 18 of 114 would-be base stealers. 3 balls and a strike. And a base hit to right. That's going to bring Prado around third. He is going to score without a throw. And the walk, the stolen base, and a clutch single by Ozuna gives him a 4 RBI night, and Miami has a 2-run lead.
He looked like he cut down on his swing a little bit there just to try to hit one through that hole. Fastball. And the recipe that they used in the first inning when Gordon got a blue pit to start the game, and 2 stolen bases later, he scored on a single by by Prado.
Well, look, I don't know what's going to happen with the Marlins. Got to get to 500 first before you think seriously about postseason play. But as you look at this lineup on paper, this is This is not an easy starting 8 to try to work your way through, is it?
No, it's not. It's got good balance too, left to right, and they got Stanton on the bench if they need him.
And again,
falling behind 4-1 would have been easy for them to kind of throw in the towel, but they need this game real bad after those other teams lost today already.
Right, they've got the Phillies this coming weekend. They do have 2 series left with the Nationals. They have a series left with the Braves and the Mets. So it's not going to be an easy path for Miami.
They've got the Braves for 4.
Right. But the point is, at least they have a path. They've got a shot. And when Jose Fernandez pitches, quite frankly, they have to win that game. And they are leading tonight 6-4. Bohr broke his bat. And he'll pick a new one out. No balls and a strike. Clayton Kershaw pitched for the Dodgers today. He helped LA shut out the Yankees 2-0. And with the Giants lost, that means LA gains a game in the Western Divisional race. Let me take that back. The Dodgers stay 4 games back. I keep thinking the Giants are in first. Beg your pardon. The Dodgers stay 4 games ahead of San Francisco. But Clayton Kershaw, obviously a huge lift for LA. They've won their 82nd game. Pitch is up and away. Baltimore's leading Boston 1-0 at Fenway Park in the 9th inning.
Well, when you've got 4 teams in one division like the American League East all vying for a spot, chances are real good they're going to be playing each other a lot down the stretch. Toronto has really fallen off the pace. They're not out of it by any means, but off the pace that they had been setting with their wins. But they've lost 8 out of 11.
And they got thumped today by Tampa Bay. The Rays are enjoying playing the role of the spoiler. Houston leads Texas 3-1. Might be too little too late for the Astros. They just could not beat Texas consistently this year. All of a sudden, the team to watch out in the American League is Seattle. The Mariners are in LA playing the Angels. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card. Swanson shovels to second for 1, and the turn turns into a double play. So Bohr rolls into a twin killing. That sends us to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's a 6-4 game. Top of the order coming up for the Bravos at home.
Sponsored by Georgia's best Chevy dealers, Georgia Power, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Top of the order in the bottom of the 8th inning for the Braves, who trail 6-4 now to the Marlins. You'll see how we've gotten to this point on tonight's Chevrolet game summary.
Jose Fernandez weathered the storm in the 2nd inning when he gave up 4 runs on 5 hits and shut out the Braves on 1 hit thereafter. Ozuna's big 3-run homer in the 6th inning turned the game around on Julio Teheran. Nick Markakis, his 12th homer of the year, has had a good night. Freddie Freeman extended his hitting streak to 20 games.
So some changes for Miami. Miguel Rojas moves from short to first. Danny Echeverria is the new Miami shortstop. And it's going to be Mike Dunn, the former Brave, on to pitch. We're told that Kyle Bearclaw is unavailable tonight because of workload issues. So an important frame for Dunn, who gives up a shot up the middle. It's off his foot and it bounces right to D. Gordon. How about that? That ball was headed for center field. 1 out.
That looked like a ramp and then just a chute for the ball to roll over or fly over to him. Off his shoe and right to Gordon. Tough luck there for Inciarte. He had a base hit coming.
And remember, no Freddie Freeman, who departed in a big hurry. Fly ball popped back toward us and out of play. Strike 1. A leadoff walk turned into a big insurance run for the Marlins in the 8th. Braves are now down 2. And pulled foul at third base. It's 0-2. Blake Lally is on deck. Then Matt Kemp. Line over Echeverria and into left field. An 0-2 pitch. And Garcia whistles that into left. He's 1 for 4.
Good swing, leveling off on that high pitch, which he does so well.
So Blake Lally, who played Sunday in his first big league appearance since 2013, strokes one into right. Garcia's on his way to third, and Atlanta has runners at the corners.
Good for you, Blake. Braves fans appreciating that.
He might want that baseball.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's taken him a while to get back to the big leagues, and he just combed that slider.
Well, the baseball got thrown toward the Marlins dugout, and Don Mattingly is on his way out. He's not going to allow Mike Dunn to face Kemp or Markakis. So it's 6-4. The Braves have the tying runs aboard. The suddenly flammable Miami bullpen is in play late here at Turner Field.
Atlanta Braves baseball is sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, the Georgia Lottery, and Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
Blake Lolly's first hit in the big league since May 2nd, 2013 has Atlanta in business. First and third, one out in a two-run game. And Mr. Dramatic, Matt Kemp, is the man set to come up. With one swing of the bat, he could turn this score around, and he's done serious damage on our Georgia Lottery jackpot.
No doubt about it. 5 homers, 13 driven in his last 14 games. Great slugging percentage. And of course a great average. And I believe he needs one more hit for his 1,500th career hit. This would be a good time for it. David Phelps on to pitch for the Fish. 57th game for him. He works at a snail's pace. We had him the other night working about every 40 seconds he'd throw a pitch. So don't expect him to work quickly at all.
And the point I make about Matt Kemp being Mr. Dramatic, 8 homers with the Braves. 5 have tied the game or given the Braves a lead, including his last 4 homers. A long ball here puts Atlanta in front, and he was swinging for the fences and didn't get it. Foul away for a strike.
Phelps worked in game 1 of this series and faced Kemp, gave up a base hit.
Slow roller hit towards second. Flip there. No play at first. A run will score. It cost the Braves their second out of the inning, however, and it's a 6-5 game as Adonis Garcia comes home. Kemp put it in play. That's his 99th RBI. It's now a 6-5 game. He tried to poke that ball through the vacant right side of the infield, but just got it off the end of the bat. So that run's charged to Dunn. Kemp at first with 2 outs, and here's Markakis. You know, Nick would like to avenge being hit by a pitch earlier.
And he's already homered and backed Ozuna up to the right field fence.
The 8th inning, a real question mark for the Marlins with the struggles of Rodney, who had an awful time earlier in this series at Turner Field. It's a strike, generously called. 2-1 the count. And with Bearclaw apparently unavailable, Don Mattingly's got to mix and match and hope and pray he can get the ball to Ramos with a lead for the 9th.
Well, he's got bodies down there to do that with.
Squibber hit to the left side. Echeverria's got it. Loads up. Throws the strike to first. And Phelps puts out the fire. The Braves push across an 8th inning run to make it a 1-run game. We head to the 9th. Marlins 6, Atlanta 5. Park. Boy, she is coming along beautifully. And dugout seats are perfect for the ultimate Braves fan. Get as close to the action as you can without being in the lineup, and keep your cool when you're on the edge of your seat with a state-of-the-art breathable mesh seat, the first of its kind in pro sports. SunTrust Park season tickets are going fast. Get your dugout seats today. Go to braves.com/dugout now.
Joel De La Cruz on to work for the Braves. He'll be the 5th man out of the bullpen tonight for Brian Snitker. Last worked here against the Mets on 9/11, and a rough outing for him too. An inning and a third, 3 runs allowed. Cabrera, an inning, a hit, a walk, a run, a strikeout. So the Braves got that run back. It's a 1-run game. Just need De La Cruz to throw strikes and give the Braves a chance in the bottom half of the order. It'll be the bottom half of the 9th. It'll be the bottom half of the order due up.
Realmuto, Rojas, and Echeverria are the Miami hitters. A 6-5 game.
A.J. Ramos begins to loosen up for the Fish. He'll try to figure out which of his 4 pitches he'll want to use tonight. Maybe all of them.
Maybe that's why he wears number 44.
Mm-hmm.
One ball, 1 strike. Line drive left center field, and Ciarte's on a flat out sprint, cuts it off. Realmuto's headed for second. The throw is off target, and the Marlins catcher was thinking double out of the box, and he showed off his excellent speed, and that's how the top of the 9th starts, a leadoff double.
This guy's going to be an all-star, folks. He can do a lot of things to beat you. That's his 2nd fastball he's tattooed tonight. And as you said, Chip, he was thinking 2 immediately. He does a good job behind the plate. He's got a good throwing arm, and he can run.
So Miami 6 runs on 8 hits. Rojas will try to get Realmuto to third at the very least here. Ball 1. A bunt, and it's a beauty. De La Cruz has to hurry through low. Did Lolly keep the bag? Apparently he did. But Perry Hill's going to say he came off the base. And it's Jace Peterson at first base. Didn't see the defensive change. I beg your pardon. Or he's at second. He was covered on the bunt. Beg your pardon. It was Jace. And let's see. Are the Marlins going to challenge the call?
Great recovery there by De La Cruz. And quite a pick by Jace. He definitely kept the bag. Well done by Peterson.
He did a better job of covering than I did of calling it. So nice play by Jace Peterson. And a nice sacrifice for the Marlins. And now Ichiro Suzuki, in what will probably be his last at bat in this ballpark, will try to extend the Miami lead. Down and in for Suzuki. 2 more hits for Ichiro last night. 5 for 9 with 4 runs, a double, a triple, and 2 RBIs in this series. Driven toward right. Markakis on the run, makes the catch. Real Muto got a late start at third. Throw coming to the plate. It's going to be an eyelash lane. It's a sacrifice fly, and Ichiro Suzuki drives home a big insurance run for the Marlins. His second RBI of the series.
He didn't waste any time either. He did something last week he had never done in his long, illustrious career. He had a pinch hit homer. Nick gave it everything he had, put it right on the plate, but again, for some reason, Tyler Flowers was standing behind the plate. I don't get that. It's the second time we've seen that in this homestand.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, get in front of the plate and catch it and try to apply a tag. But he was standing flat-footed behind the dish, and Miami cashes in their 7th run. Little pop into left field, and Matt Kemp makes the play. Single runs in the 8th and the 9th for Miami. Ichiro Suzuki's sac fly extends the Marlins lead, and the bottom part of the order coming up for Atlanta in the home 9th.
Inning, and make sure to stay with us after the game because we have our Braves Live post-game show brought to you by Xfinity. We'll recap what has been an extremely exciting night, take you inside of the clubhouse and show you some highlights and recap Gwinnett's game in the Governor's Cup. So make sure to stay with us. But first, you got to get your rally cups on because it is time for the Braves to get a comeback.
Indeed it is, Kelsey. Thank you very much. 7-5, but it won't be easy for A.J. Ramos is on trying to pick up his 36th save for the Marlins this year.
He had a good outing last night. Exact same score, 7-5. He came in and got Garcia, Freeman, and Markakis, and Kemp, and struck out 2 of them. Looked good.
So Tyler Flowers will lead off the fateful 9th for the Braves. 7-5 game. Miami trying to win 2 out of 3. Chance for them to gain a full game on all 3 teams above them in the wild card chase. Giants, Mets, St. Louis all lost tonight, and Miami can get back to 500 with an off day tomorrow and a 3-game series with the Phillies coming up. That knocked off Real Muto's mask. 2 balls and a strike. Announced crowd 21,498. Driven out of play.
Just need a base runner. After the Fish got their run back, make it 2 runs, need a base runner. Let Jace Swanson have a crack at him. Braves will have Beckham on the bench if they need him. Chase Darno still unavailable off the bench. Daniel Castro over there as well.
Ramos missed. Full count.
Those 4 pitches for him. Fastball, slider, curve, and change, but add a 5th in there. He'll throw a cutter on occasion off his fastball.
Driven towards center. It's tailing away from Yelich, but he's got long legs and long strides. Made the play, and there's out number 1. Asked Christian before the game, does he like left or center better? He said he likes center just fine. He's already been a Gold Glover in left. When Stanton gets healthy next year, assuming that's the case, if you have Yelich flanked by Ozuna and Stanton in the outfield, that's a pretty salty starting trio out there.
Yeah, and you don't have to be the fastest kid on the block to be a good center fielder. You just have to read the ball off the bat, get good jumps, position yourself correctly. You know, when you think about Andrew Jones, Andrew had average speed, wasn't a blazer. But he was the best center fielder of his era because of what I just talked about. Great instincts.
1 out, nobody aboard in the 9th. Two balls, 1 strike.
And that was a high breaking ball. Usually on those you don't get the call. I see it was at the top of Fox Tracks, but when one was that bad, you usually don't get it. Ramos has had a great year.
Braves are hoping for a 9th inning rally. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good take.
Good at bat. Doesn't want to put him on and risk bringing the tying run to the plate. So let's see if he comes right with the fastball, knowing that a home run only makes it 7-6. No.
Line drive left. That's going to get down and head for the gap. Peterson's on his way to second. The throw too high for D. Gordon. And Jace Peterson doubles with 1 out.
He came back with another breaking ball and another one that was up in Jace's eyes that he was able to adjust to and crack it into the left center field gap. Sometimes pitchers outthink themselves. Maybe he's just got too many pitches to pick from. He went through the card catalog and that's what he came up with.
Well, now he'll face Dansby Swanson, who has an RBI hit. He's hit to a double play and struck out. Gordon Beckham's on deck. Braves need 2 to tie.
Marvin Hudson has been generous this half inning.
Nothing wrong with that one, though. 0-2.
We've seen Dansby already tonight behind 0-2. Just kind of punch one through the right side.
He didn't chase that pitch off the plate. It's 1-2. That is a fair ball. Low throw, dug out at first. What a play.
My goodness.
And what a play at third base as well to spear that ball before it had a chance to dance foul beyond the bag.
He threw this straight, almost straight into the ground and skipped off the grass, made it that much tougher hop. A very tough hop to handle. And for Rojas, who just went to first base a couple of innings ago, well done.
So Gordon Beckham, the final hope for the Braves. And fouled back off the screen, strike one. Does not appear that Ramos has his plus stuff tonight.
He certainly doesn't have that breaking ball.
Swing and a fly ball pulled foul. And now Beckham and the Braves down to their last strike. Fly ball well hit towards center, but Yelich had him played perfectly, and that's going to end the game. In their final trip to Turner Field, the Miami Marlins came from behind, trailing 4-1. They got a 4-run 6th inning courtesy of a 3-run homer by Marcell Ozuna, and that makes a winner of Jose Fernandez as the Fish win the series in must-win fashion. They take 2 out of 3 and win tonight by a final score of 7-5. We'll step aside, take a break, and recap it for you right after this.